We're now going to enable the player to be able to switch the inventory menu on and off by using the I key on the keyboard. So that was actually a task for you in the last video, so hopefully you were able to do that. If not, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we've already got the game object slot for the inventory menu itself, so we can switch it on or off, but we do need another serialized field. It's going to be of a type bool, as in boolean, and I'm just simply going to call this one inventory active to check if it's currently active or not. And it's currently switched on, so I'm going to say true for the moment. Okay. Then under the update, we need to check if the player is pressing the I key. So that's input dot get key down, key code, there it is, and it's dot I, capital I. Then we need to check if the inventory is active. So if inventory active is equal to, and let's say false to begin with, was if it's not on. Then inside of here we can now actually switch the inventory menu on. Okay, so what we're going to say is inventory menu dot game object dot set active to true. Okay, so basically it just switches the game object on, and then we need to tell it that the inventory active is actually on, so is true. Inventory active equals true. So let's just copy all of this and paste, and now we need to say else if inventory active is actually already equal to true. So in other words, it's already on. We now need to switch it off, so we're going to change set active from true to false, and we're going to tell it that the inventory active is no longer true, so it's now false. The inventory has been switched off. Alright, great. So that's how to do it. Hopefully you got something very much like that. And I also gave you another challenge as well to see if you could actually enable the cursor when it was on and disable the cursor when it was off. So as long as the inventory is on, we actually want to enable the cursor, and that will only happen at this point when we press the I key. So we're going to say cursor dot, and it's going to be visible equals true. Okay, so I can now just copy that line, Control and C, onto this one, press paste, Control and V, and I'm just going to change that one to false to switch it back off again. Great, so let's now save this, and it's currently on the canvas, it's enabled. Okay, the inventory menu should already be on there. Inventory active. Now I've serialized this one so it's available in the inspector. It would have been better if it was private. Okay, and in fact actually we can use that check mark as to whether we want to start with the inventory open or not. But I'm probably going to set that to private in a minute. So what I want to do is check this. So I want to press play. Okay, so when I press I, switches it off. Press I again, and now I've got my cursor. But you notice that the background is currently moving around with this as well. Okay, which is really weird. So we'll stop that. We can see that character walking. You can even move yourself if you want. And then switch it on, switch it off. Excellent. Alright, so that's working. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to pause the game whenever we go into the inventory menu. So by default, if I click Edit and Project Settings and go to Time, okay, by default, timescale is set to 1, which is real time. So 1 second equals 1 second of real time in the game. You could obviously change that if you wanted. You know, if you wanted a game that was operating on a different time scale, you just change it from there. And what we're going to do is we're going to change that with code. We're going to change it from 1 to 0. And as long as it's on 0 time, it means everything will be paused. Okay, so this is if it's false. So what we need to do here is, I'm going to do it right at the top actually, is I'm going to set time to be 1. Okay, so time dot time scale, and it's lowercase t to begin with. Time scale, oh I think it's all one word, isn't it? Oh no, it's there it is, it's capital S. Okay, equals 1f, as in a float. Alright, and that puts it back to its original real time. Let's copy that. Let's press enter and paste, and now we need to set this one to 0f. In other words, pause the game. Okay, so let's save that. Once again, let's press play. Now when we press I, I've done it the wrong way around. Okay, pause the game when I come out of the menu. Yeah, okay, so let's just change those. So we know it works, it's just it's the wrong way around. So this one is 0f because we're actually setting the menu to true, we're actually switching it on, and this is 1f when we're coming out of the menu. Great, okay. Okay, now this only happens when we press I, by the way. So real time, press I and everything is paused. We can see the character there, nothing's moving around except for this. Now that weird counter thing is going mad at the moment. Okay, eventually it'll go into infinity. There we go, I'm getting infinity frames per second now, which is amazing because of the 0 time frame. Okay, but this makes it so much easier to use the menu now. And you can see that these images are not taking up a huge amount of screen space anymore because I'm running at 1920 by 1080. So that has fixed that issue. Now what we want is, if I can go back to graphics and GUI, we actually want some of these stats to be displayed in the middle of the screen. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go to the inventory menu. We're going to right click and we're going to create a new image. And this image is, let's start with knife stats. So let's just drag knife stats into there and set native size. Okay, there we go. Now I'm actually going to drag this one up a little bit, I think. So I'm planning on putting some battery icons down at the bottom there. Okay, so yep, that's looking good. Alright, so instead of it being image, I'm going to change that name to knife stats. Alright, now this doesn't require any kind of button or anything, it's just a static element. But I do want to tell the player what these mean. Okay, these individual pieces. So I need to create some text. So right click on the inventory menu panel, UI and text. Now I'm going to zoom into this so that we can see this, and I'm going to position this one just above the first line. Okay, I'm going to change its color to white, and let me see what I should be setting it to. So this should be size 16. So at the moment it's size 14, so let's just change that to 16 so now we can see it. And instead of new text, first line is how much damage does each weapon deliver. I want to probably pull that up a little bit so we can see it. Let's call this damage text. In fact, let's call it damage label, since that's all it is, it's just a label. Okay, let's highlight that, Control D to duplicate, bring this one down. The next one is the speed. Okay, so the speed of each weapon. Great, and let's change the name of it as well. So instead of damage label, we're going to say speed label. And then once again, let's duplicate this. And this one, let's drag it down to the bottom line. Maybe just up slightly. And this one is going to be noise. How much noise does it make? And let's change the label at the top, so noise label, just so that we know what each of these elements are. Okay, great. So each weapon will have its own level of damage, its own speed level, and obviously how much noise it makes. The more noise you make, the more you're going to attract the enemies. The less noise you make, you can probably be more covert and running around. Obviously the less damage, it means that you've got to deliver more hits. The more damage, so for example the gun, if I find the gun stats, that is on max for all of them. Okay, so you can actually just kill someone with one shot, so it's quite realistic there.